SoundCartel.
Understandably, online retail has exploded during COVID-19, a trend that's set to continue well into the future. And for businesses that have never monetised sales online, well, the time is now. E-commerce platforms are more intuitive than ever, and along with an online sales strategy, selling online is more achievable than you might think. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. While we've all hunkered down as a result of COVID restrictions, the internet has been a great saviour, not only as a source of entertainment, but it's become much easier to shop for almost anything we want. Online sales since March have gone through the roof. Some companies are earning more now than they did before the crisis by focusing on online sales. So, how do you take advantage of online technology for your own business? What tools can you use? And what impact do the likes of Google and Amazon have on your online store? Who better to answer those questions and more than Kelly Slessor, founder of online shopping mall Shop You. Kelly spent 20 years helping multinationals, major shopping malls and small businesses use technology to boost their sales. Chris Ashmore asks Kelly whether COVID-19 has finally forced businesses to look to online sales as a strategy.
It's actually been the acceleration that we needed in the industry. That sounds bad, but the customer journey was broken. And I think we all know that the connection between online and offline, there's been this huge gap for a long time. And in a place where customers were forced to go online to make purchases, businesses are realizing that they can't have a gap between online and offline, that they need to have this seamless experience between the two. And we saw commerce and parcel deliveries go up. We've seen online shopping in June up 72% compared to the same time last year. So businesses, retailers have no choice but to play in this space and to make the online an experience just as they do in their physical retail stores as well.
Well, as consumers, I suppose we're creatures of habit. Do you think after the pandemic that a lot of people will revert going back to the way they used to always shop? Or how do you see the future of retail?
No, I think we've had a retraining session. I mean, if you look at something like Uber, it took about 6 years to get to 1 million users and then about 6 months to get to the next 6 million. Because what happens is as we change and retrain behaviours and people learn how to do things in a different way, those behaviours stick with us. So what we have done is just forced everyone to use online. And we've got examples of friend's 80-year-old grandmother who would never have shopped online, has never, ever bought anything online, and now does all of her online shopping from Coles. So we've seen a seismic shift in consumer behaviour and the way in which we shop. And it's now becoming more and more natural to us. So we won't go back. There'll be a medium that will settle at, but we won't go back to the way we were.
Well, undoubtedly, online shopping then is very important for businesses. And I suppose there's a lot of businesses out there who have never really sold anything online before. What's your advice? What are some of the first steps do you think that they need to do to sell online?
So interestingly, I think the first step that retailers kind of forget in the online process, they go, let's go and set up a website. Great. But they forget to look at who their customer is. The problem is with online, you don't have people necessarily that just walk by your store or that get as much word of mouth. So to acquire customers online is very expensive. So the average cost to acquire a customer online is about $20, $23. And when you're selling a product at $40, it doesn't make any sense. So the way in which you get that cost of acquisition down is to really understand your customer so that when you build your website, you start to use Facebook and Instagram and advertising, Google Ads, for instance, the cost of acquiring that customer is less the more you know about them. So that's the first stage. The second stage is to look at platforms, and there are some amazing platforms out there. You know, going back even a year ago, I saw retailers spending $120,000 or $10,000 on building out a website. You can be up and running on a Shopify platform within 2 days, and it will cost you $30 to $80 a month. So the cost of getting online has come down a lot. So the platform is the next thing. And then what are the services and things you need to add on to that platform to really help your customer get to their end goal, which is to find what you've got as quickly as possible and then put it in the shopping basket and get it shipped to them as quickly as possible. Who are your logistics partners and things like that?
You mentioned third-party tools like Shopify, but when it comes to mobile apps, how important are they for online sales?
So we know that mobile apps convert higher. So app users view 4.2 times more products, and app users are 3 times more likely to convert than mobile web users. However, I think what a lot of businesses fail to take into account is there's a huge cost to developing apps, but there's also a huge cost to maintaining and marketing them. So for small to medium businesses, I always go mobile web first and try and get that experience right and then grow off that base. For large businesses, it makes sense because they have the budgets to invest in driving traffic. So the driving of traffic is the costly piece.
For a local business that's looking to sell locally, is an online strategy still important for them?
Oh, it's even more important now. And I think the local businesses are the ones that will win in this scenario if they can position themselves, because we're going to be doing more shopping locally. We're going to be buying things more onshore rather than going overseas. And we are going to look for local retailers where we can return if we don't like it, or we can get local reviews. So being online becomes even more important now for them. And even my local convenience store started doing a click and collect service over COVID. We spent more money in there than we did in some of our weekly shops at some of the big supermarkets. So being online and having those online services is absolutely more important.
Well, what kind of technology should businesses be looking at then? Do you have any specific tools you can recommend?
Yeah, so Shopify is one that I've mentioned before. Shopify is the fastest growing e-commerce platform. So not only is it a great platform, but it has lots of plug-in capabilities and it's very easy for you to use for non-technical people. Another one that I champion is one called Klaviyo, which is an email marketing platform, which allows you to really start to look at conversions and actually getting your customers to purchase things off the back of sending them an email. And it really focuses heavily on that. And then looking at things like abandoned cart technology. So again, with a lot of the platforms out there, there's plugins you can get which help to stop people from dropping out of the cart and encourage them to move to purchase. So there's lots of technology out there that allows local small to medium businesses to have the scale and the technology that some of the larger businesses have without the cost.
Well, finally, Kelly, what do you see the impact that the big giants, we're talking about here Google or Amazon, Facebook, Apple, what do they have on retail looking forward?
They're all making big plays in this area. Obviously, Amazon is the biggest, and they are now they're in talks with a property group to look at fulfillment potentially from centres. So being able to actually send items from a shopping centre direct to your home. Facebook have recently launched their own shop front. So you can set up a shop front on Facebook and start selling from there. Google have also started to do free advertising for commerce for shopping in the US, and that will happen here. So they're all making a play. I think the problem is they're all separate channels that everybody's got to manage. So I think you have to, again, going back to my original point, was you have to understand where your customer is and which channels are they favouring, which ones, depending on the age and the gender and their background, which channels are they spending most of their time in, and really focus in on working with those channels.
That was Shop You founder and CEO Kelly Slessor. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Executive produced by Heather Dawson. Produced by Nick Schilberger, Chris Ashmore and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts and Belinda Trimboli. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week.
SoundCartel.